So let's get really practical. I am here with Coach Zoe Davis, who has answered, goodness, hundreds, maybe more questions on BrainFitLife. You've been doing that for a long time now, haven't you?
Yeah, it's been a couple years now.
Yeah,
Maybe
it's
2.5
awesome.
years.
We have about 14,000 people in our community, and um, we want to create brain fit people. That's our goal. Um, so, what are options for breakfast? Let's
Yeah.
let's start with the morning. What are
Okay.
things that are nutrient dense that taste great?
Yeah. So yeah, my favorite meal of the day. So yeah, my favorite in the morning is eggs with lots of dark leafy greens. So kale is my favorite. I know a lot of people wince at kale, but I think when you make it right, it's delicious. So using, whatever vegetables you like, but lightly cooking them and then adding them to your eggs. Um, and you can do that in lots of different ways. I like, asparagus and broccoli and onions and mushroom, but always using a lot of fresh garlic. And I usually use avocado oil if I'm going to put any oil in. That's my favorite. That's my favorite breakfast. And and then other options that people really enjoy are like a protein smoothie. So sometimes people aren't hungry in the morning, or they feel like they're in a rush. They don't have time to cook eggs, even though they're super fast to cook. But smoothies are really a great option because you can put a lot of nutrient density in there. You can use a high quality plant protein powder. You can use almond milk or coconut milk as your liquid. And then you can add all kinds of deliciousness. I mean, we have great recipes,
On
for
Brain
all
Fit
sorts
Life,
of
for sure.
delicious.
And in Tana's
Yeah,
cookbooks, especially the Brain Warriors Way cookbook, there's so many shake recipes,
yeah,
and they taste awesome.
they're
And
amazing. Yeah,
you can hide for kids, for example, so you can hide the taste of kale or spinach,
yeah.
um,
And
beet.
for kids, you can put vitamins in there. You can put probiotics in there. You can totally muscle it up and have it be a really strong breakfast for
Or
kids.
our new Bright Minds powder,
Mhm.
which is,
Yeah,
so many people don't want to take capsules. I
exactly.
don't want to take 10 capsules in the morning. You can take a scoop of the powder and put it in a shake and sort of hide the
Yeah,
taste, although it tastes reasonably okay.
yeah.
But that's often my go-to in the morning. And we make a super clean, super healthy protein powder, one vanilla, one chocolate, and we do it just it's a way to say, look, it can taste great and be good for you.
Yeah,
You just have to
absolutely.
be thoughtful. Um,
Yeah. And that's a great, for kids, that's a great after school small meal too, because kids are always starving after school and they want something that tastes good, but you don't want them to have any junk. It's like that's a great way to have something, really tasty, slightly sweet, and really nutritious for them as well.
yeah, so it's funny. Parents give kids Oreos and a Coke, and then they expect them to concentrate.
Right.
So they give them a sugar burst. And what happens in your body is your pancreas then sees the sugar, produces insulin, and so you get a sugar spike. Oh, I feel great. And then 30 minutes later, it drops you, and your brain is now mud.
Yeah.
And it's like, come on, get your homework done. What's the matter with you? Don't you
Yeah.
care? Why are you doing this to me? Which is just nuts when it's the parents
Yeah.
allowing it to happen to the child.
Right,
And
and just not being aware of it, like
is
not
not being
not
aware.
putting those two things together, which is just, yeah, it seems like when you start talking about it, it seems like common sense. I often have that conversation with people where it's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. I didn't realize drinking coffee at 10 o'clock at night would make my sleep disturbed, but just not putting it together. If you don't have those conversations, you don't sometimes think about it.
So drinks in the morning. That's interesting because and you've alluded to this a couple of times, is
Mhm,
what people do is what they're going to do. That the
mhm,
brain actually gets in a rut. And so so what's the healthy thing I can get at Jack in the Box? Nothing, except maybe iced tea probably
Yeah.
works.
Yeah.
Um, but I used to get a chicken fajita pita because it was 350 calories, so it's calorie smart and healthier than most. But the more I would allow myself to do it, the more trouble I would have not doing it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
whatever you allow yourself to do, it builds tracks in the brain. And so it makes it more likely to happen. So, you
Yeah.
want to find things you love that love you back and do it over and over. Because I actually think it's okay to get into a routine. Most people are in a routine
Yeah,
that's
sure.
bad for them. And
Right. Right.
so, I usually cook eggs for Tana and Chloe in the morning, and I'll have a couple blueberries, often throw some spinach in there as well for, get my green stuff.
Yeah.
The,
Yeah.
the more you can find a routine you love that loves you back, then you become a brain warrior, if you will.
Absolutely. And you make that new routine really accessible and doable and realistic, right? So often people say, I don't have time to cook in the morning. I'm not, that's why I have to have, whatever's at work or what I grab at the drive through or whatever. But if you have, for instance, I always talk to people about having some vegetables prepped and at eye level in the refrigerator. So when you open the refrigerator, there they are in all their colorful glory and they're ready to go. So there's no excuse not to just throw them in with whatever you're eating. It's a way to just make it that much easier. So, you're right. I mean, the routine really helps. So when you go to the store, come home, prep some food so that there's no reason not to eat well. It's the excuse of, oh, I don't have time to, or I'm rushing, so I'm not going to cut up any veggies. Well, if they're right there, then it's easy to add them to whatever you're eating.
So
And I
what
think
about
that's
so let me just, and I think I've said it on the podcast before. So this is how I tell Tana I love her every morning. I
yeah,
make her a pumpkin spice almond milk cappuccino.
yum.
So half calf coffee
Yeah.
with unsweetened almond milk, with pumpkin spice, about a teaspoon of that, with a little bit of chocolate stevia. Put it in a blender, frost like crazy.
Yeah.
Top it with cinnamon that has a little bit of erythritol in it, and it's just amazing.
That
She used to make it
sounds
for me
delicious.
every morning, and then she went away on a trip, and I'm like, well, who's going to make this? And she's like, you have an MD. I'm sure you can follow the
You can
directions.
figure it out. Right, right.
And so
And
she
it
taught me how to
should.
make it. And
Yeah.
now she's so sneaky because now I make it every morning. But it's like my way of saying I love you by
Yeah.
something you love that loves you back.
Yes. Yeah,
And that's
absolutely.
and that's the goal. So what about snacks?
Yeah. So yeah, great. So snacks always, easy to carry with you is what people want to know. So, raw nuts and seeds I think are a great option. I will again like preparation. I'm always talking about preparation. I'll get a bunch of different kinds: pumpkin seeds, walnuts, almonds, sunflower seeds. I just dump them all together, mix them up. Maybe put a little bit of dehydrated coconut, unsweetened, in there. And then when you've got it pre-portioned, you can just take it with you um, for your day. Then you've got a couple servings of really healthy fat along with some protein, between meals that can be really simple. And again, I love the berries. It sounds like you love blueberries as well. And I will do the same thing with berries because they have great benefit. Blueberries, blackberries, raspberries, I'll mix them up and then take those with me as well. So having a little bit of healthy fat and protein with a little bit of good carbohydrate in the fruit can be really simple. Other options that are delicious are almond butter and celery or almond butter and apple. Really easy if you've got it again already ready to go in the morning. That makes it so much easier to take. And I'm a big fan of raw veggies, so I will bring raw veggies as well with some hummus or salsa. along with the nuts. And that's actually a really good pair as well. Really
Along with
simple whole foods.
guacamole too.
Avocado, yum.
Avocados are just amazing.
Yeah.
I guess I should disclose my father is an avocado grower, so I have
Oh,
avocados all the time. It's his way of
nice.
saying he loves me. You know, every time I go over there to work out, he sends me home with a bag of avocados. So I just love that, and they're so good for you. And we used to
Yeah,
think not, but 60% of the solid weight of your brain is fat. They
right.
call you a fathead, say thank you.
Yeah,
It's a critical part of what should be in our diet. Um,
absolutely. Yeah,
okay. What about fruit?
yeah.
So we talked
So,
about berries, and berries are good. I have every day 1 cup of frozen blueberries, and I
mhm,
like frozen blueberries better
yeah,
than non-frozen blueberries because it's sort of like candy. It's
it
in
is
fact,
like
I actually
candy.
say it's God's candy, and a
Yeah,
cup of frozen blueberries is 70 calories. So it's calorie smart, it's loaded with fiber and color. And so, why is the color important? It is, they're phytochemicals or
right.
they're
Yeah,
basically plant medicines.
right. Absolutely. And blueberries specifically, I mean, they're just like a superfood. I mean, if there is such a thing, that would definitely be one of them. And frozen, I don't know if you've heard this, but the frozen actually are better digested because they break a little bit in the freezing process. Is that something you've heard?
I haven't,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't usually eat them frozen, but I think about that sometimes. Like, I like them fresh. Um, but yeah, I think, a couple serving, depending, of course, on what your goals are, but a couple servings a day of really, low sugar fruits, especially the berries, because you're eating the seeds as well in berries. That's great. I think we're used to these like huge bananas or huge apples or huge oranges. We don't
or
need that
huge
much
half of a watermelon, which
Right,
is really a
exactly.
high
Yeah.
sugar fruit, or pineapple. But there's a
Right.
difference, and we don't have time to talk about it today. But glycemic index and glycemic
Sure.
load
Yeah.
that we should
Absolutely.
talk about. But apples, oranges, pears. If you're going to have a banana, have it greener than
Right.
brown. Um,
And pairing it with the protein is going to help that blood sugar response, right? So you're talking about the glycemic load. So pairing it with a protein will slow that down. So it's a good idea to always. That's why I like to always eat fruit with a protein, or at least some nuts that's got some protein in it. Slow that down so that you're not getting that spike and then drop. Right? That's what we're all trying to avoid.
and then for dinner and lunch, I would just tell people think of a plate. 70% should be plant-based foods, 30% high quality protein, and mix in of those numbers healthy fat.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
but what
Yeah.
about dessert? Since we
Ah,
only have a few minutes left, let's talk about what everybody
yeah.
gets unhappy about. And so BrainMD actually makes 2 chocolate bars.
Oh,
We
they're
make
so good. They're
Brain
so
and
good.
Love,
Yeah,
which melts and is amazing.
it's amazing. And you just need a little piece. It's like all you're needing is like if you just want a little sweetness, have a little bit, really enjoy it, like savor it. You don't need even the whole bar. You can just have a little piece.
And then Brain on Joy, which is our coconut
Yeah,
chocolate bar, which we just
delicious.
love. And it's symbolic of there is no suffering in getting
Absolutely.
well.
Yeah.
You just got to use
Yeah.
your brain.
And you can use that, like you said, melt it and then dip your little, berries in it, and you've got this like just luxurious dessert. But I know Tana and you have some great recipes in there for cookies, that are made with almond meal, and I've used those at holidays. People don't even notice the difference. It's not a loss by by eating well, for sure.
Although, the difference is if I had an Oreo, I would really want 4 or 5 of them.
Oh,
If
sure.
I
Yeah.
get if I have one of Tana's cookies, I'm
You're
happy with 1 or
satisfied.
2 of them.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
level of satisfaction
Absolutely.
goes way up. Well, it's been just such a joy to be with you. Thank you for your work with Amen Clinics and with BrainFitLife and being a brain warrior with me. I'm just
My
super
pleasure.
grateful for you, and I know our community is as well. If you want to interact more with Zoe, join BrainFitLife. Zoe answers virtually all of the questions on our forum. So anytime you ask a question, usually you have an answer that day or the next day, and it's either coming for me or Zoe, and most commonly lately it's been Zoe. So thank you so much, my friend.
Absolutely. Take good care. Thank
All
you.
right, say hi to everybody in Walnut Creek for me.